Today on the Morning Edition, a new site in Anchorage to see this morning as the Mushing District arch has been set and raised over 4th Avenue downtown. We'll take a look at the process of getting it into place. Plus, ice can be as fun as it is dangerous, and the Anchorage Fire Department has some in-depth methods on their training for rescue operations. We get an inside look. And later, a professor from Virginia Tech has come up with a unique and rather entertaining way for his students to learn just a little bit more about invasive species by eating them in a potluck. We'll find out exactly how that works as the Morning Edition starts now. Okay, eating invasive species. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm assuming are there insects in the food?
I haven't seen the story yet. We're going to check it out later.
If it's insects, I'm okay with it. But if it's anything else, well, I'm going to exercise that with a little caution.
Okay. For me, not even insects. I will pass on this. But it's the first alert weather day. What are we looking at, Aaron?
Yeah, you do want to use some caution on those roadways as we are watching a push of some warmer air that's arriving in across South Central. Now, while surface temperatures are sitting in the 20s, if not lower 30s this morning, as you head several hundred feet above the surface, we are seeing those temperatures climbing above freezing. That combined with some incoming moisture will lead to the potential that we could see some pockets of some freezing drizzle this morning, as well as some areas of wintry mix. We're currently sitting at 30 degrees here in Anchorage, with winds for the most part remaining fairly light. Now we will see some gusty conditions sticking around throughout the day, but that will not be our biggest impact. It's really going to be that chance for some ice in the forecast. You can see those temperatures already warming across a good portion of South Central, where we're seeing many areas beginning to approach that freezing mark. And of course, we're still seeing some locations where those temperatures are sitting in the upper 20s, and of course through the Copper River Basin, we've got those temperatures sitting at 11 degrees. So what has changed from this time yesterday into this morning, where we're getting a better focus on that area of low pressure that's to our south, and that is what's pumping in some of the stronger winds that we are going to see, as well as those warmer conditions. That area of low pressure just to the west of Kodiak, and we've got that flow around that low pulling in all of that warmth, and that's eroding away that colder air aloft, and that is why we're going to see that potential for some freezing drizzle, if not some wintry mix, which is why we have that first alert weather for both today as well as into your Friday. Of course, the bigger impacts will occur for your Thursday. So from Anchorage down through the Kenai, we do have a winter weather advisory until noon today. That is for ice accumulation of a glaze up to 1/10 of an inch. And it only takes a very little ice accumulation to cause some of those slick roads across South Central. So take it easy on those roadways. Through the day, you can see those temperatures will steadily warm, will likely top out in the mid-30s, if not some lower 40s as you head out towards coastal areas. I'll have more on these impacts throughout the day, as well as that 7-day forecast coming up.
After over a decade of work, the 4th Avenue Anchorage Mushing District arch stood up. Here you can see a time lapse of the process. As Georgina Fernandez tells us, it's brought a new sense of life and history downtown.
Soaring through the sky.
Oh, it's fantastic.
It's a sight for sore eyes.
This accumulation of a lot of work.
This long-awaited artwork rose above 4th Avenue on Wednesday. After over a decade since its first sketch was drafted, the Anchorage Mushing District arch is finally up. These steel dogs.
It seemed like the dog team just came naturally as part of that.
Spanning 56 feet across 4th Avenue at over 15,000 pounds. The arch brings to life the mushing culture to downtown.
In the wintertime, the only access in and out of Anchorage was on the Iditarod Trail from Seward to Anchorage.
Tapping into the rich history these dogs have in Alaska.
This will be the iconic photograph that tourists will take home from Anchorage when they visit us.
This arch, the Mushing District says they're hoping will become a new focal point here in downtown, bringing a new sense of life to 4th Avenue.
Now we're in the other direction. We'll start revitalizing it.
Kind of gives us this boost of life.
That's right, yes.
The Anchorage Mushing District says the arch will have lights on it, so it will be lit up, and the district plans to place history signs that share the history of the early Anchorage years on the 4th Avenue sidewalk, and even start a virtual walking tour this summer.
We're going to bring all of those stories together. The serum run, which we talked about a little bit earlier, and we're going to have those stories.
This arch, now part of what they hope will be Anchorage's next chapter.
More than $600,000 were raised for the project. The Anchorage Mushing District says an additional $100,000 is still needed. And we're learning more about the response to that harrowing house fire on Hideaway Lake Drive in South Anchorage yesterday. The Anchorage Fire Department says the homeowner and their 2 dogs made it out safely from the immense blaze. With no hydrants on the hillside, crews had to shuttle in water from Service High School to battle the fire. And this video from last night shows how big that fire was. While the response was successful, the fire department noted a critical safety concern with drivers not consistently yielding to emergency vehicles headed to the scene. AFD's deputy chief shared his crew's observations.
A couple of the crews noticed that it seems like they were having trouble getting traffic to obey the traffic laws of pulling to the right when emergency vehicles approach. So pulling as far over to the right as you can and slowing it's showing us that you're surrendering and that you realize we're there. Some people also have a great practice. It's not required, but they will turn on their hazards and slow when they pull to the right so that the drivers of the fire apparatus know that those individuals are cognizant of the fact that an emergency apparatus is approaching.
He added important advice for encountering emergency vehicles. First, slow down and pull off to the right. All traffic on undivided roads need to yield to emergency vehicles. On divided highways, only vehicles heading in the same direction as emergency responders need to move right. And at stoplights, always clear the intersection before pulling over. Rescuing someone from icy waters is a dangerous task and a skill that the Anchorage Fire Department reviews each year. Joe Allgood shows us what AFD's training entails.
I'm standing on the ice at Westchester Lagoon, and while I've been here, there's been several others doing the same. Thankfully, I haven't fallen through yet. But if I was, here's what a rescue might look like.
It's always a challenge trying to, between our schedule and the weather, trying to find the sweet spot of when we're actually here.
Ice, ice, baby.
4 inches.
4? All right. So it's the perfect time for us to train. Obviously, we can't train on the ice when there's no ice, and if it gets too thick, then it becomes a challenge as well.
Training to stop, collaborate, and listen. Ice is back with AFD's attention.
We try to go with everything, kind of a plan A, B, and C. Never does one plan usually work out, so we always try to have a backup plan.
Deadly to fall into water too wintry.
The first thing you want to do is do everything you can to self-rescue yourself. Be loud.
Grab a hold the edge tightly. If that's a problem, they'll solve it.
We have kind of hands-on methods where we have to actually get in the water. Certainly we encourage the least intrusive aspects of getting out on like a reach or a throw rope lines.
And resolve it.
If those don't work, then we have the ability to get in with protective equipment to get in actually in the cold water and make a rescue. You're going to get the collar around them, like you're going to have the collar, right? And then at the last ditch, we have boats that are available to us as well, especially on very thin ice. We can use that if we can't get out and walk to a victim.
Kick, kick, kick. Okay, we're good?
Fall!
Well, some folks have already gotten an early start on winter recreational activities like skating, but pretty soon this ice will be hot mopped and groomed to make it a better surface for that sort of thing. Joe Allgood, Alaska's news source.
A house fire late last week resulted in a total loss for one family, but as Danny Tompkins reports, it also highlights the value of community.
The Spalding family lost everything in Friday's house fire, but they've discovered they gained a family they didn't know they had.
There's been so many memories. We've done a lot of our own personal touches to this place.
Something most people couldn't imagine.
It's deemed a total loss after talking to the agents that I've talked to so far. So it's going to be a long road ahead.
When fire took over the family's home Friday morning, they didn't know what to do next.
The second my daughter ran out the front door, it caused like an air tunnel and broke the back windshield, or the sliding glass door, and just a gust of smoke and fire came through the house.
But one thing that made all the difference, people.
Yeah, an outrageous amount of support. Outrageous, we can't ask for a better group of people to help us out and be there for us.
Close friends started a GoFundMe page, raising more than $20,000 in just 6 hours.
I'm glad they started it, and we're very grateful for it. It's not a familiar feeling, but very very humbling experience, very appreciative, and it's amazing.
Now, the Spaldings look toward the good.
Somebody very near and dear to me has said, you know, there's stuff and things, and when it's all said and done, what's matters is the people in your lives. And so we just keep focusing on that.
While any of us can face this kind of loss, it's who surrounds us that matters most. Danny Tompkins, Alaska's news source.
So far, the GoFundMe account has raised just under $25,000. The goal is to raise $28,000. In Capitol coverage, questions concerning the liquefied natural gas pipeline project, Alaska lawmakers expressed concern over what the pipeline's developer is asking for. At a committee meeting yesterday afternoon, representatives for the LNG project's main developer, Glenfarne, Alaska LNG, heard concerns. The developers say they want the state to promise if Alaska changes laws that cost investors money, the state would pay them back. For more than 3 hours, lawmakers questioned whether Alaska can afford to make that kind of promise, coming to the conclusion of probably not.
I could sit here and just from what you presented thus far, infer that we've got that we're behind the curve in Alaska. We don't have any of this. A lot of this is not in place in terms of being able to provide fiscal stability going into the future.
We have a robust state and we're very financially healthy. But this is a massive project and there just isn't the free cash flow to just go willy-nilly down the road without knowing what you're doing.
Lawmakers will continue reviewing the request as the project moves toward a final investment decision. Alaska's news source asked to speak with the president of Glenfarne, Alaska LNG, and a representative for Gaffney Klein. Both declined. In Fairbanks, Stone Soup Cafe is gearing up for 2 big holiday meals as demand reaches new heights. The kitchen says it's already surpassed last year's total meals served. With weeks still left this year for Thanksgiving, they'll offer a special breakfast instead of the usual dinner service, and for Christmas, prime rib with local potatoes. The cafe says volunteers often show up in high numbers, and even when there are more helping hands than tasks, they always find a way to put people to work.
We also try, for as busy as we've been, to slow down a little bit and spend more time with people. Sit down, have coffee, don't be so rushed around, because every single human being is a person with a story and a person with needs, and they deserve to be seen in that wholeness of themselves.
Stone Soup Cafe is currently in need of snacks for the bagged lunches they hand out. Still ahead today here on the Morning Edition, our investigative team looked into concerns and complaints about Alaska's Office of Children's Services. We'll be back with what they learned.
And still holding on to some of that active weather across South Central. We do have a first alert weather day through tomorrow. I'll break down those impacts. But first at sunrise, 9:19 in Anchorage, 7:58 in Juneau. Your full forecast is next.
Well, Aaron, it is a first alert weather day today. What does that entail? What are people going to be seeing the impacts?
Well, we are seeing that winter weather advisory from Anchorage down towards western parts of the Kenai. This is where we're going to see that potential for some freezing rain throughout the day. And with that being the case, that is why we have issued a first alert weather day for both today as well as into tomorrow. So what has changed with the forecast from yesterday? Well, we're getting a better consensus on that area of low pressure and what it means for us here in South Central. And as it steadily builds off towards the east-northeast, it will drive in some of those stronger southeasterly winds, which will pump in that warmth. That's leading to snow levels rising across South Central. Now, if you live out towards the hillside and some of those higher elevations, largely expected to see some snow, but below about 1,300 feet, we'll largely see that potential for some freezing rain. And yes, we'll still see some snow mixing in with some gusty conditions that will develop across South Central. So there's our area of low pressure. We're watching just to the southwest of Kodiak. We've already got some heavy rainfall that's gripping areas of coastal regions from the Kenai out towards Prince William Sound. Inland areas is where we're going to watch the greatest potential for some freezing rain as we welcome in the morning hours into the early afternoon. Out towards the coast, temperatures remain warm enough that we'll largely see all rain, although we could still see some of those isolated pockets of some slick roads for coastal areas where we are still seeing some of those cooler conditions from previous afternoons. But there is that area of low pressure driving in those warmer conditions, and we're we are going to see today and tomorrow likely our warmest day that we've seen over the past couple of weeks as we climb into the mid-30s. We may even see some upper 30s for inland areas of South Central as we're waking up this morning to parts of the valley where those temperatures are already warming into the low to mid-30s. So with that being said, this is our atmospheric sounding. This is released 2 times a day, 2 to 3 times a day, depending on the weather across the U.S. But when we take a closer look at it, we can get a better idea of what's going on in our atmosphere. Now, this line right here, this blue line, this is our 32-degree freezing line in the atmosphere. Now, notice our temperature. This is a red line. This is our temperature throughout the atmosphere. Notice as you head a few hundred feet above the surface, we've got this warm nose. This is where we're going to see that snow falling through that warm layer, and it's going to melt. And as it reaches the surface, it's not going to have enough time to refreeze. So this is why we're going to see that potential for some freezing rain in the forecast. Not guaranteed for everyone, but we will see that potential throughout the morning hours and into the afternoon. So what that means for us, that warm layer, as it melts and falls down through that warm layer, it does melt and then it falls down to the surface with some freezing rain to be expected. So take note of that as we will watch that potential for about a glaze to about 1/10 of an inch of ice accumulation looking possible. So you want to make sure you take caution on those roadways. You want to allow yourself double, triple distance to stop, and you do not want to brake suddenly when we're talking about this potential for some freezing rain. So throughout the remainder of today, we will be watching that potential for some freezing rain sticking around in the forecast. Through the overnight hours, we will tap into that potential that we could see some localized areas of some wintry mix. But today into tomorrow will bring our greatest potential chance for seeing some of that wintry mix. Now, coastal areas will see a better chance for a return to some heavier rainfall. I'll have more on just how much rain you can expect to see later on in the show, but those temperatures staying in the mid-30s through Friday, and then we cool off into the weekend. So, Adelmi, be careful on those roadways and give yourself plenty of time to get where you're going this morning.
Today, the investigative team reviews problems and complaints about Alaska's Office of Children's Services while they have persisted for years. In June, a latest version of a legislative audit found the foster care system was still failing children. That's despite a 2018 law change. Now, months later, one of the main state House lawmakers in charge of judiciary issues is again calling for accountability. The team talked to Representative Andrew Gray since it's been about 6 months after a third and final OCS audit was released. His take is Alaska's foster care system is failing the state's most vulnerable children. The audit found critical problems still persist. That includes caseworkers carrying large caseloads and reduced training standards. This is despite more than $20 million of additional funding. Gray's bottom line is the state must implement reforms. OCS did not respond to the team's request for comment, but their commissioner has written an opinion piece about this. She says they're moving toward their goals and called Gray's claims, quote, political and false. The commissioner said average caseloads have dropped from 19 to 16 with a goal of 13, and says staff turnover rates, which spiked to 56% during the COVID-19 pandemic, have fallen to 38%. You can watch the full story, including a conversation with former foster care children, on our website and mobile app. And if you have a tip for the team, email toinvestigates@ktuu.com.
Thanks for listening to our podcast. Click subscribe so you can get the latest podcasts from Alaska's news source automatically, and stay up to date with breaking news and in-depth reporting available for free 24/7 with the Alaska's news source app.